Welcome back, everyone. This is Dave from Corn Productions with my co-host Stacie and special guest Brian Greene from owlsplace.com, here to talk about the original Quantum Leap Season 4, Episode 16, titled Ghost Ship. Now, before I go into my usual blabbery, Brian, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Dave.
And
Stacie.
welcome to Connecticut as well.
Heck yeah.
How's your trip so far?
It's been great.
Enjoying Connecticut?
Love it.
I mean, so far you've
What
seen...
little I've seen.
Yeah, so far you've seen the airport and some trees, so, you know...
And my house.
And Stacie's house. That's
Yeah.
The highlight of the trip.
What
has
do
been-
you think of this awesome basement that we
I
recorded?
love this basement. I love this basement. I feel like I'm back in 1945. Like, ow.
46 the house was born.
46.
Born, my God.
Okay.
46 the house was built. Wow.
Was
Really?
born.
I didn't know that.
So Brian flew on an airplane today, and now we're going to make him talk about the disappearing airplane.
Oh, yes.
Which was not planned at all. It's very coincidental. I didn't even realize that's what we did until I started taking these notes, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
So we made him watch this episode before getting onto a plane?
Yeah.
I mean, at least he didn't go out to, like, the Bermuda Triangle.
Right.
Yeah, so there's that.
You avoided that. Anybody get deathly ill on your flight?
No, one guy talked to himself most of the time and irritated the girl next to him, I could tell, from her face. But that was about it.
All right, so the reason why Brian's here is because we're all about to go on a little adventure. We brought this up a couple of times. We're going to go see Scott Bakula at, he's doing the play, Man of La Mancha. So we're all going to go together. We're going to meet Albie and, Albie from the Quantum Leap podcast.
And Chris.
Chris
And,
we've actually met
Serenity
before,
will
but
be there.
Yeah.
We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, and next week we'll probably have a little bit of an interview drop with Brian that you'll actually get to see him. So,
Sorry about that in
yeah.
advance.
Yep. All right, so let's get into it.
All right.
All right, the episode's description reads as follows. Flying through the Bermuda Triangle, strange things occur as Sam must get a sick passenger to a doctor. The episode was written by Paul Quayle's second and last effort on the series. He did Unchained, which neither me nor Stacie were a big fan of. The episode was directed by Edita W. Addison, the late Addison. Also her second and last stint in the series, she directed Dreams. The episode takes place on August 13th, 1956, which is an interesting date, and we'll get to why in a little bit, and originally aired on March 4th, 1992. Before we go any further, I'll tell you a couple of things. One, this is not a spoiler-free podcast, so if you haven't watched the episode, I highly recommend you go and check it out, and then come back and give us a listen. Secondly, if you're listening to one of the platforms of this podcast is now available on, please follow and feel free to check out my YouTube channel, Core Productions, where additional content can be discovered, both Quantum Leap related and otherwise. If you're already on my YouTube channel, please like, share, and comment, and subscribe to my channel, our channel. Alright, so, shout-outs this week.
What you got?
Adam, your husband.
Yeah, that's my husband.
Yes. He had a birthday, August 13th.
August 13th, the day of Ghost Ship's flight. Yeah.
He was born a little bit after this,
the year's a little different.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
And, he's old years old today. I have to be nice to the guy because, unfortunately, I'm not that far behind him. We also have Mimi Gallup. I don't even remember what she said exactly because I forgot to put that in my
Shout out
notes.
for somebody who said something. Yay!
Yes, she had some positive things to say. About
I'm going to guess she said that she loved our last podcast.
Yes.
Couldn't wait to hear this one.
Yep, that was one of the things that she said.
And she loves the episode, I'm going to guess.
Yeah.
She loves every episode.
She didn't mention anything about Ghost Ship.
Okay.
But,
Hated Ghost Ship. Loved all the rest.
shout out for Alpha. Alpha couldn't wait for us to make sense of this episode. I think between the three of us, we can manage it.
I don't know. I don't even know what my notes say. I've been a little preoccupied this week.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've had a lot of stuff to do to prepare for your guests.
I know, right?
All right, so
My fault.
usually I would kick this over to Stacie, but since Brian is our guest, this week I'm going to ask your thoughts about this week's episode.
Right off the bat, okay. I like it. I've always liked it. But it's not one of my favorite ones. I don't know. There's something that doesn't flow in a certain couple of spots. And Scott Bakula's reaction to some of the stuff Dean is trying to do with the funny stuff is just, it's off the wall. If you look at his face, he's like, why am I doing this? So I do like the episode. Carla Gugino. Am I saying that correctly?
Gugino.
Gugino.
Gugino. I had to phonetically put it
Carla
in my notes because I
Gugino.
wanted to get it right, and then I still said it wrong.
I think she's great. I've seen her in several things. I believe The Watchmen and a couple other movies.
We'll talk about all her things.
Oh, great.
In a little bit.
So liked her. And, everybody did fine, but it's just not one of my absolute favorites. But I do enjoy watching it. And I watched it the other night just to prepare for this, so it was cool.
That's fair. Stacie?
Okay, so I feel similar. It's not a favorite episode, but it's perfectly fine. I think I said this last week when we were, introing into this, that what's interesting about this one is it's such a small, isolated story, right?
Mm-hmm.
We don't leave this airplane. We only have, 4 people on our cast. 5 if you count the mirror image, outside of our leads. So it's different than most of the episodes. We're not having a bunch of under 5 people. We're not having a lot of different sets and locations. We're just right here. We're telling a small story. We have 3 locations within the airplane. We've got the cockpit, we've got the cabin where the couple is, and we've got the galley, which is the place we go to, to talk to Al and pretend like the people 3 feet away can't hear us. So it's a little bit different. And I kind of like that. It's kind of like a relaxing episode a little bit,
Yeah, it's much easier to talk about because it is.
Yeah, taking these notes was like, wow, this is it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why I feel like I'm not prepared with my notes, because we didn't prep a movie this week.
Right. Nope.
If anyone hasn't been following along that closely, we're recording a whole bunch of movies that aren't going to air until October, November, December.
One of those movies is Son-in-Law, which has the actress who appears in this episode. We said Carla Gugino?
Carla Gugino.
Carla Gugino. It's a funny story. Last week, I told her that she was actually in a Quantum Leap episode.
Told me. You didn't
Yes.
tell Carla Gugino.
No. She happens. I'm pretty sure she's aware of that. But yeah, and you didn't know.
Okay, so yeah. Again, this wasn't planned. It's another fun coincidence, because we've been having a lot of those around here lately. We didn't plan to be in the same week prepping a movie that she's in and an episode she's in, but that's what happened. We'd already decided that was the next movie we're going to cover, but we're not covering it today because Brian's here.
By all means.
Nah, we're not prepared at all.
We're not prepared. We took a week off of movie notes. I did watch it this week, though. So it's in my head. I just haven't put it to paper yet. So prepping that, and so we already knew that was the next movie we were going to cover, and then we're talking about, and you're like, oh, she's in a Quantum Leap episode. And I went, which one? And you're like, the one we're talking about? Right now?
Ghost Ship.
I was like, are you sure? Are you sure she's in it? I said, who did she play? Because there's so many options. And I had to go look at the pictures. And my first thought was, let me turn it on the TV, because we were sitting in my living room at the time. And this is right after we finished recording
Holdovers?
Song for the Soul.
Oh, okay,
Well,
that one.
I mean, yeah, holdovers. But,
Technically, we did that one too. But.
That day that we were, we'll speak Quantum Leap language. I was like, let me put it on the TV. And I was like, oh, wait, I can't anymore because, it's not on.
Yeah,
anywhere.
unfortunately.
I have to go get the DVD to turn it on. So I was like, let me just look at the pictures.
They took it off Peacock, which they still have the new one on, which I don't understand why they would take the old one off and keep the new one on.
I'm hopeful that it straightens out and appears somewhere soon, because watching the DVDs is not it for me. It's annoying for me to watch and take notes with the DVDs.
You can still watch Sliders, which I know Brian is thrilled with.
Yeah.
No. Don't do it to me, Dave.
Backstory on that
Don't
comment.
make me slam Sliders into the ground.
Yeah, he was actually supposed to cover Sliders with Damon from the Fandom Entanglement podcast, and he can't stand the show, so he's now not doing that.
I tried it. I watched the first episode, and I just could not get past, what's his name?
Jerry
O'Connell. Not my favorite. There's nothing wrong with Jerry. Jerry, I love you, man.
I don't think he's listening.
He might be.
You underestimate or overestimate just.
Am
how
I
famous we are.
overestimating the audience?
Yeah.
Is it
A little
limited
bit.
to just this town, or
I'm thinking it definitely does not include Jerry O'Connell. I don't think
Okay.
he's listening to
Yeah,
it.
I mean,
Well,
is he a Quantum Leap fan?
I mean, maybe he is.
he might
but,
be?
Yeah.
He's sliding all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah.
with a bunch of weird people.
Anyways, what are we even talking about?
We're talking about Goshen.
Just sliding around with Sala.
Oh, we were talking about Carla Gugino.
Yes.
And how she happens to be in like everything that we're talking about, which was weird.
Yeah, that's pretty weird.
So it was an interesting coincidence that the same week we're prepping a movie she was in, we're talking about her, and I think that's all we needed to say, and it's been like 10 minutes, so...
Yeah.
Are we recording?
Let me check on that.
Oh, dear
Yes,
Lord.
we are. It's been literally 10 minutes. Okay, so do we have anything else to say before moving on?
About the episode. I like that we're touching on some kind of paranormal weird stuff. I don't know if we really did much with that, other than, like, say, is something happening? Is it not happening? Maybe it is happening. But I like that we're touching on it.
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the Bermuda Triangle stuff back in the day. Like when I was a kid, I bought some books on it. I was very fascinated with that. So I really liked this episode back in the day, and I still do. It's a nice little creepy episode, but it's very simple.
It is simple.
There's not
I
a
like
whole
that.
lot
I
to
was
it.
ready
Yeah.
for simple this week.
Sure.
So let's dive in.
All right, let's do it.
So Brian, I don't know if you ever listen to our show. You have a clue
I
how we do this.
I do listen.
So what we're going to do is we go scene by scene through the entire episode and talk as it goes and talk about our thoughts on what's happening.
Okay.
And talk about all of the actors as we hit them. But again, there's not a lot of them this week. So much more relaxing than a movie.
Yeah,
oh
absolutely.
My goodness.
You don't have to memorize
So the movies we've been doing, I've had up to 2 pages just of the cast notes, and now I've got less than 2 inches. So yay, much easier. All right.
So Sam leaps into a flying plane and he's smoking a cigarette. He drops that, which causes him to accidentally push the stick forward and begin a nosedive into the ocean. Oh boy! Credits. And Brian, if you have any comments about any of these
you gotta
scenes,
just kind of jump in
and
and interrupt Dave. That's my job, but it's your job too today.
You covered the cigarette dropping well and the oh boy.
Yeah, so I
right.
think
Good
it's really
inflection.
funny that he acts like he doesn't even have a rudimentary idea of how to fly a plane.
Right, since he's already done it, and they even comment on that in this
Like-
episode.
Yeah, he flew the X2
even
or whatever.
I know you gotta pull up,
Right.
And he's just looking around for help. Do something.
Right.
You should at least have a little bit of an idea of what you're supposed to do.
Yep. Fair
Come
enough.
on, Scott.
I know,
Sam.
really. So technically both are true. So after the credits, Sam is rescued by Captain Cooper, and he learns that they are on their way to the Bermuda Triangle, or to Bermuda specifically. He's played by Scott Huxby. He has 48 credits for him, including an appearance on Aquarius with David Duchovny from the X-Files, which I also cover, the James Bond film In Living Daylights, and an episode of Jag.
I also have he was in 19 episodes of The Young and the Restless, and an episode of Mad Men.
He's instructed to tell the 2 passengers that they hit an air pocket, which I guess is not actually a thing.
I thought that was a thing.
It's not a thing.
Okay, good
Nope.
to know.
So if anybody tells you that, they're making
The plane's
an
going
excuse.
down. Something's happening.
You almost died, they just don't want to tell you that. So the idea that the autopilot might have taken them off course is broached, as Sam doesn't know how to turn it off. They are asked by flight attendant Wendy, and she asks if everything is okay. She's told that, of course, that the plane hit an air pocket, which she knows better. She's played by Kimberly Foster, 23 credits for her, including 14 appearances on Days of Our Lives, an episode of Dragnet, and Knight Rider.
I have 14 episodes of All My Children. I wonder if it's both or if one of us wrote the wrong soap.
I'm willing to bet that I'm the one that's wrong.
Usually you are. She was also in 50 episodes of Dallas.
Okay, yeah.
Oh,
Seemed like a significant credit for her.
Yeah, did you watch Dallas back in the day?
I did.
You did?
Some, I watched the new Dallas when it came back.
Gotcha.
And I really did like it, and they canceled it. Of course, everything I watch gets canceled. So your show, this is the last episode of y'all's show.
Right.
So let's make it good.
So was this an NBC show by chance? Because, they have a habit of doing that.
I don't remember what it was on. No, it was on FX or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah.
FX?
FX is Fox.
But yeah.
Fox?
Larry Hagman was in it until he died, and they,
Yes.
did the whole thing on the show with. Anyway, I'm getting off topic, but yeah, it was
That's
good.
okay, we do that.
So Sam takes a look at the mirror image, and I didn't take note of the mirror image who that was played by.
Okay. You tipped ahead of me a bit, so I gotta find that way down here. Okay. So the character of Eddie Brackett, the mirror image, is played by Mark McPherson. He was in an episode of Party of Five and an episode of Melrose Place, taking me way back to my 90s teen self.
He ends up meeting Grant, one of the passengers who was complaining that he wore his drink instead of drinking it. And basically, it's kind of basically implied that this guy's a big deal. He owns is a heir. He's supposed to inherit. He's supposed to inherit a business, a petroleum business.
He's an heir.
Heir. What did I just say?
Hair. I mean, it
Hair?
does start with an H, but it's pronounced heir.
Gotcha. Okay.
That's a big part of our show too. Is I just tell them how
correcting
to say
my
things.
pronunciation.
Right. Yeah. I've heard a couple of those. They're very good.
Grant.
Yeah.
So he's an heir to a petroleum company. His dad's the big boss. Usually it's his dad they're flying, but they're flying him today and his new bride on their honeymoon to Bermuda. And Sam's host Eddie is new, so that's how they get around him not really knowing much. Is he's the new guy to the crew. They don't really know him, and he doesn't know the plane, and they speak a different language because he wasn't military trained the way that Cooper was.
Gotcha. Grant is played by Kurt Douche, or not Douche, Kirk Deutsch. I actually don't know. Deutsch.
Deutsch. I mean, that's the German word for German, so I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it.
Okay.
Kurt Deutsch.
18 credits for him, including 2 episodes of Matlock, an episode of Law & Order, and Sex in the City.
And as well as 9 episodes of Models, Inc. Stick to that 90s theme there.
Nice.
Yeah.
This is a couple on their honeymoon. He meets the bride, Michelle, and reassures her that they aren't going to crash. She suddenly has stomach cramps. She's not in a good situation. She's played by Carla Gugino. 109 credits for her, including Son-in-Law, which we're going to cover soon. American Gangster and Gerald's Game.
Yes, including all of the rest of the Flaniverse. Gerald's Game being the movie she did. That's a Stephen King movie. We should cover that one sometime.
We should.
It covers 2 things we want to talk about.
Yeah.
But all of the series, all of the Netflix Flaniverse series, that is, of course, the things done by Mike Flanagan, including Fall of the House of Usher, Midnight Mass, Haunting of Bly Manor, Haunting of Hill House. She's featured in all of those series, and she's amazing. She's also in 11 episodes of Wayward Pines.
I love that show.
Yeah.
Also canceled.
Which, if
Thank
you love that, you definitely have to watch From.
Yeah.
So that's one of the filler shows that people are watching while they're in From withdrawal.
Wait, he watches shows that gets canceled. Maybe we shouldn't suggest getting him to watch From until maybe after it's concluded.
That's true.
It's
You're
over.
not allowed to watch
It's
it.
already canceled. They've already canceled
Too
it.
late.
Speaking of From, if we got any of our From listeners here, we can't talk about it, but
Yeah.
oof.
Yeah. We got screeners on that one as well, and man, my heart still hurts.
Can't wait till September 22nd so you guys can hear our thoughts on that one.
Yes.
So yeah, she's also in, one of her early films. I love this one, Troop Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills. Okay.
Troop Beverly Hills. You ever seen that
Yeah,
one?
yeah. A long time ago.
Okay, well, we're going to put that on our summer list.
Gotcha.
Great movie. Love that one.
So Grant comes out.
And that rounds out our whole cast. We've covered everybody now.
Yep.
So move on straight to plot.
All right. So Grant comes out, orders more drinks, and he comes off as a bit of an ass.
He's not nice.
But at the same time, I've also had worse customers than him in my time working in customer service.
Oh, me too.
The way they describe it is, Dad's a handful, and he just must be the same as his dad.
Right.
And he is. But I do give credit that we did. This character did have some growth throughout this episode.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We didn't just leave him like that. Like he's still a rich, arrogant prick at the end of the day, but he appears to have a soul. By the time we get to the end,
He's an arrogant prick with a heart.
Yeah. Specifically, one of the things he does here that really just kind of shows like how out of touch he is he's complaining to his wife Michelle. He's like, you ask a pilot to do anything besides fly from point A to point B, and they act like you're asking them to do a favor because that's what you're doing.
Right.
Their job is to fly the plane. It's not Eddie's job to make you a drink.
Imagine that.
You have a stewardess. It's her job. It's not the pilot's job. So yeah, he doesn't understand that he's not treating his staff properly and that he is asking for favors. And he's telling Michelle, like, you're not a temple anymore. You're a cutter now. So, like, you need to start acting like it.
Yeah, you need to start acting like an ass.
Exactly. And he's telling her, like, hey, you're rich now, so just stop treating people so nice.
Lovely guy. Anyway, Al appears 9 minutes and 16 minutes in. He's impressed by the plane. He says he's lucky Ziggy was able to find Sam at all, and Sam is acting extra cranky here. Though, I don't know, it's in the last couple of episodes, Sam has been really cranky when Al appears and doesn't have all the information right away.
I took note that, it doesn't feel like he was any later than he usually is.
No, I mean, not as in terms of the episode. This is right about the time he usually appears.
Yeah, and I mean, he was flying the plane, and now he's here. It's only been a couple minutes. Like, it's not like anything else has happened.
Right.
And he's blaming it on the fact that they're a moving target, but I also don't recall that ever being a problem before.
Mm-hmm. I mean, they've never been on an airplane, but...
Well,
yeah,
Honeymoon Express. They were on an airplane, but they were traveling pretty fast on a train.
Yeah, that's
Didn't
fair.
seem to have a problem there, at least not that I recall.
Mm-hmm. I think Al's just coming up with excuses.
It's a flimsy excuse, I think.
For being bad at his job. But Al gives him the rundown. Genesis is brought up. They mention the fact that he did, in fact, fly the Mach 2. He crashed it, but not before going Mach 3.
X2 broke Mach 3.
What did I say?
That was the first time that episode was ever referenced.
Is it?
Again, in the series, wasn't it? They never talked about it before that, did they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. I don't think they talk about the original.
They hardly ever
did.
Much.
No.
Really, and that was kind of unusual, yeah.
He also gives us the history of this airplane. Al's kind of impressed with it. It is a Grumman Goose, which would have been used during World War II to chase down German U-boats. And it's now been converted into a private plane.
They are told that they never ended up getting to Bermuda, that they end up back at Norwich, Virginia. And Al is having issues with Ziggy, what else is new, but eventually, after much efforts, gets info that Michelle has acute appendicitis, which is not good.
And it's not very cute, according to Al.
No, it is not. They feel themselves turning, and Sam goes to the cockpit, where Captain Cooper need to make a course correction due to a malfunctioning compass. Sam points out that it seems to be settling down, and that's because they are flying out of the Bermuda Triangle, and that's what was causing.
And yeah, this is the first time we actually mentioned the Bermuda Triangle, and we're shown clearly that Cooper has some prejudiced ideas about flying here. You'd think he'd have figured that out before going on this trip.
Why did he even agree to do it in the first place?
I mean, it's his job,
I guess,
but he should have maybe called out sick that day.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking in Matt Dale's handy book here, and Bermuda Triangle, the name of that was not coined until 1964.
Yes.
Ooh, so that's a little bit of a
little error there.
Oh,
Maybe he named it in the show. Maybe
perhaps
history changed.
That's interesting. Perhaps that Sam is responsible for making the term come a little bit earlier.
Well,
Could be.
except Cooper's the one that said it.
Does he
not
say it
Sam.
first?
Is he? Yeah, he did. You're right. All right.
But, he's been affected by it, so, he's already traveled through time or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe Cooper just called it that all along and caught on later, and they finally put it in the news or something.
Right. He's the reason. Because he's got these stories.
Exactly.
Sweet. So they didn't. Oh yeah. Okay. I already did that.
All right. So they turned around.
Yeah.
She's not going to make it. It's 4 hours back to Norwich. Only an hour to Bermuda. So Sam's job now is to convince Cooper to turn around again and go to Bermuda because she is not going to make it all the way back to Virginia.
But Cooper is not biting. He still intends to go back to Norwich. Al is having trouble with the hand link, which Al attributes to being in the Bermuda Triangle. Sam doesn't believe in it, but Al very much does. It works after leaving the triangle, and Sam ends up, teasing a very jumpy Al at this point.
Oh yeah, this is when he tells him maybe the UFO did it, and he looks out the window and there's no UFO there. So Al's like, "Oh, the triangle ate the UFO."
Swallowed it up.
It's a very sweet deal. So if you're ever getting attacked by aliens, just go to the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, I thought that conversation was fun, and I was trying to remember, and I think didn't you do Starlight Starbright recently? Reviewed that episode.
I took the notes for that for Brian.
For me,
so
yes.
you reviewed it recently.
Yeah.
So here's my question on that. What was Al's take on UFOs and aliens in that episode?
Well, it's funny because I think it's contradictory to what
That's
his
what I was
opinion is
wondering.
here.
I was like, I don't know if I remember this right.
Yeah, I think Al is skeptical. And actually, I'm not even sure that Al has an opinion. I think he just doesn't want Sam to pursue this whole thing because he doesn't want to get his host locked up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what he's more...
Usually Al's very quick
Yeah.
to believe in every sort of superstition. And
Well, that's the same thing with Temptation Eyes, is that he was very skeptical of the psychic in that episode. And, so that was a very un-Al-like opinion. And now here he's back to being, the one who believes in this stuff.
Yeah, he totally believes in the triangle, and he totally believes that Sam teasing him about UFO means that the UFO was disappeared.
So in the original history, Michelle died, and Sam wants Ziggy to find Bermuda so that they can go there instead. Wendy gets Sam, and he examines Michelle, and he tells them about her appendix. He goes to Cooper and tries to convince him that if they don't go to Bermuda, Michelle is going to die.
And we also learn here that Eddie did have a year of medical school before becoming a pilot. Very convenient because before that line was said, I'm taking my notes and I was like, wait a minute, why are they letting this guy, this kid that just became a pilot, examine her, and why do they care what he has to say? But then they do give us that information, he has some medical training, so he's qualified to, touch her stomach and know she's about to die.
Cooper doesn't want to risk their lives on his medical judgment, however, and wants to keep going to Norwich. Al gets a location, and Sam tries to convince him where to go, giving a specific heading, and it doesn't seem to be working. Cooper is still not sold on this.
No, because he doesn't believe him.
Right.
He's like, you're too young to have instincts, and you don't know things. I know better than you. Just sit down.
I think in reality, Sam might actually be older than Cooper a little bit.
Sure, probably.
Yeah.
But, he doesn't know that.
No.
And he certainly doesn't know a supercomputer from the future is giving him the information to save their lives, but...
It's a shame you should just tell him.
But if he did.
So, alone, Cooper plays with the radio, and then seemingly has flashbacks to his Navy days, where he keeps hearing voices in his head. Al tells Sam that Cooper has spent more time in the Triangle than anyone, and Sam is curious as to why he's so reluctant about going into it then. And Al gives some speculations about respecting it and knowing what could happen.
Yeah, so we get the story a little bit here of what happened with Cooper. So in 1944, he was on mission, and he was leading 3 other planes, who are the voices that Coop's hearing now. And those 3 actors, by the way, aren't credited. We don't know who did the voice work on those. They don't have any credits. Are they in there? I meant to look in the book, and I didn't.
I didn't see them in here either.
But they're not on your site or IMDb.
No, I've never heard of who the voices might have been.
Which I thought that was strange, that we have 3 voices that we don't have credits for.
Yeah, it may have been a producer or just somebody, you know, who knows. They threw these things together in 5 days.
But anyway, so in 1944, he located and sunk 7 U-boats in the Bermuda Triangle. But all 3 of the aircraft disappeared, and Cooper, and nobody knows what happened to them. They were gone for 8 days when he was picked up by a passing tanker, and he has no memory of what happened during those 8 days.
Dun, dun, dun.
So not only is it a bad memory of hey, all his people died, presumably, and it's his fault, but he's also got obviously some
Trauma, PTSD.
Some stuff going on if he doesn't even remember it. So we'll get little more bits and pieces of what happened throughout the episode from these voices as we actually literally hear the play out of that day.
Meanwhile, Cooper continues to have hallucinations, which are interrupted by Sam. Cooper gets a signal from Bermuda, and Sam convinces him to go to Bermuda for now.
Right, because this proved that the heading that Al gave them is correct, that they were able to radio in on that heading.
Cooper goes to check out Michelle and gives the plane over to Sam. We all know how that's going to go. He asks Sam about his baby's due date, which is in about a month. Sam puts the plane on autopilot, and I thought that was a bad idea when I saw him do it.
Well... at the beginning, though, the problem wasn't that autopilot was acting up. It was that Sam didn't know how to fly the plane, and they blamed it on autopilot.
Right.
So the autopilot's not broken. But Cooper thinks it is. Because that's the blame we're getting for the air pocket situation.
Right. And we all know that Sam is eventually going to get yelled at for this.
And if he didn't turn the autopilot on, we probably would have crashed right here.
Right. Al has Sam vector around a thunderstorm. I don't know what that means. Do you happen to know what that means?
Vector around it?
Yes.
Just go around it.
Okay.
You know?
Change course so that you don't go straight through it.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because they don't want to end up like Manifest. That's how they time traveled, spoiler alert. They went through thunderstorms.
Oh, thanks. Now I don't have to watch that.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean,
it's a lot more complicated than that, but that was part of it, is there was a thunderstorm
it's
involved.
too late, Brian, to get that show canceled because it's already done.
Yeah, go watch the ones that are already canceled.
It was going to come back for another season. I felt it, but not anymore.
And oh, by the way, that was an NBC show.
It was an NBC show that
Of course it was.
Netflix
course
finished
it
off
was.
the story with a 4th season, and they are trying to get a spin-off.
Oh, really?
There's a campaign for that.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how strong it's going. I haven't been paying attention, but Manifest spin-off is a hashtag out there.
All right.
Anyways.
Al notices a ship that appears to be a Liberty ship, which even in the 50s, there weren't very many left. Sam tries to point out the ship, but now it's gone. Cooper doesn't get a chance to see it. He chastises Sam for putting the plane on autopilot and tells him that Michelle is feeling better, which is actually not a good sign at all. Cooper asks about the Liberty ship before Sam heads to the John, and Cooper ends up hallucinating some more, and then Al notes that they are back in the triangle.
Right, and we learn that
The
that's
head.
what happened that day in 1944, was the whole thing with the Liberty ship and which direction it was going, and all of that is playing out from that day. So not only is he hearing the voices, but like Sam's seeing things now too that don't make sense.
Right. And yeah, it is supposed to be the head, right?
Right.
Yes, as Al keeps correcting Sam
The
about.
military man knows the terms.
Were you a military man?
I was.
You were?
I was Navy.
Oh, okay. So you can relate to Cooper.
I was not an admiral.
No? What
I wasn't
rank,
even Cooper.
what rank did you get to?
I don't even remember. It was so long ago.
All right. So Sam ends up checking out Michelle, and the reason she's feeling better is because her appendix burst.
Yay!
Yes,
No?
good. Not good news. No. Sam doesn't have an IV, but he ends up MacGyvering something up, which somehow manages to work and to save her life. Al rants about the triangle and ends up disappearing, and that's the last we're going to see of him for quite some time into this episode.
Yeah, so so did the triangle eat him up?
I guess so.
What is the thing that he uses?
It-
They make fun of it. They make all these comments about it, but they never say what it is.
It
He
100% is a douchebag.
Right on.
100%. Except it should have been red instead of yellow.
Absolutely.
I did look for images of 1950s douchebags.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And every single one of them is red. I actually saw a teal one. But
Okay.
otherwise, they're all red. So yeah, that is... The coloring is off. That's probably more, I was going to guess, a 70s color.
oh, okay. Grant finds him and asks about the water, and then asks if Michelle is going to die, and we start humanizing Grant about here. Sam reassures him that she won't, with proper treatment in Bermuda. Cooper, meanwhile, starts acting like he's back in the war, looking for a U-boat, which Sam ends up witnessing. He ends up actually trying to dive to get the U-boat. After this incident, Cooper remembers nothing and denies it, but Wendy has heard this before. Now, what is the relationship between Wendy and Cooper?
They're married.
Married.
Okay, they are?
Yes.
Somehow I completely
this
missed
is his
that.
wife. I guess we
Yeah.
skipped over that at the beginning.
I guess so.
That
They
was
say it really
something we
quick.
learned right
Yeah.
at the beginning. That she is Mrs. Cooper.
Okay, so yeah.
So
you
good
know.
for them. They get to work together.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea, but you never know. He thinks he killed his squad, and that they want him to join him in their death, I guess. Coop heard music, which Sam is now hearing at the same time. He's hearing some music on the radio. He talks about the engine getting struck by lightning, and wouldn't you know it, that's the same thing that now is happening to the plane.
Yeah, so we're
They're in
learning all of these things
Yeah.
that happened back then, which we had no memory of, but now he's starting to remember. And it's all happening in real time, again, here now, today, in 1956. And it's all very eerie and strange and bad. We don't want an engine to be on fire.
No,
I know
no.
that much about planes.
Yes, I don't know.
That's
I don't
bad.
know much either, but I do know that you don't want your plane to be on fire.
Yeah.
And he basically. The
But
plane,
Wendy
yeah.
has to hit the switch to put the fire out because Coop's too far gone now. He's like
Yeah.
out of it.
He's deep
And
into
of course,
his PTSD.
Sam doesn't know what to do. So she actually kind of goes in and good thing she pays attention.
Right.
The stewardess comes in, puts the fire out on the engine.
And then the plane starts beginning to crash, and Sam is trying to pull it up, and he keeps begging Coop to help him. And eventually, Coop regains enough faculties where he's able to prevent them from crashing. But they're just barely off the water. They need to lose some weight. Sam ends up recruiting Grant to throw things off the plane, including their luggage, which is really unfortunate for them.
Yeah, they must not have had a great trip once all this was said and done.
I mean, keeping things in perspective, they lived through this, so
right, but they didn't really know they were gonna die.
No. So they end up unbolting seats, then throwing that off too.
Yeah, which wouldn't that? I mean, I feel like that would have taken too long.
Maybe.
Did you even have the screwdriver handy?
Right. Is there a set of wrenches just sitting around over there?
Because this was a very time-sensitive matter. Mm-hmm. We're about to hit the water. You have to unload it this second.
Yeah.
And, everything's screwed down, or unbolted down. Unbolt it. I don't think that's that quick and easy of a thing to do.
Nah.
If I'm in this situation and I'm asked to unscrew something quickly, you're definitely going to die. Just so you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will concur that I don't think you'd be very helpful.
No. But maybe slightly better than Adam.
100%.
Okay. So
just throw the kid and the dying girl out the window. You're
saved. There you go. What do you need them for anyway?
Yeah.
Eventually, Coop is able to regain some altitude. They get out of the storm and they find Bermuda. Coop is radioing in for Michelle.
Yep, and they say they got a doctor and an ambulance on the way. Assuring us that she's actually going to get help.
Yeah, they never specifically say that she lives, but I think it's
we got to medical help.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And they offer assistance docking. Now the plane lands on the water. Is it supposed to? Do you know anything about airplanes?
Generally speaking,
the
no.
kind of
I would
plane
say
that's
no,
supposed to land in the water.
But it was equipped to do it. With the floats on the bottom.
Gotcha. I mean, there are some planes that
right, is this the plan? Landing in Bermuda? You're supposed to land in the water?
I don't know about that.
Okay.
So Al manages to come back after being out of the triangle. Sam, Al, and Cooper debate the whole Bermuda Triangle thing.
Right, and the fact that everything happened exactly like it did for Cooper's original mission in 1944, and he says, it couldn't have just been a coincidence, but Sam says it has to have been a coincidence. And he says, it didn't happen exactly the same, because you didn't actually crash, and he says you didn't spend 8 days in the water.
Mm-hmm. Well, what's funny here is that Sam is having this conversation with both Al and Cooper.
Right, because they're both on the same kind of side, and he's trying to be the voice of reason.
Right,
and say it's
and neither one of them can hear each other.
And I love when we have those three-way conversations.
It's not even like we're having two separate conversations. We're having the exact same one, which is even more rare in the series.
But then Cooper tells them he's got all his memories back, apparently. He says he didn't spend those 8 days in the water. He was picked up by USS Cyclops the day he went in. But 7 days later, she was torpedoed, went down with everyone but him, and the freighter Michael Z picked him up the next day. So twice in 8 days, he was the only survivor, which is creepy enough as it is. But then Al gives us some information.
Yes. Apparently, the U.S. Cyclops disappeared in the Bermuda Triangle in 2018.
1918.
Wow. Okay. 1918.
That was just a couple years ago. Surely they found it.
In the future, this happened. 26 years.
I just got so dizzy.
26 years before it got picked up by Cooper, and then Sam ends up leaving.
And that's true.
Yeah.
That's a real fact.
Yeah.
That happened.
So it disappeared in World War I. Which means they couldn't have picked him up. But it did. So that's where we're left with is, what really happened to him?
Right.
Was he on a ghost ship? So the ghost ship of the title is the Cyclops, right? That's what we're talking about?
I guess so, yeah.
Because there wasn't any ghosty stuff going on in this plane.
So what do you guys think? Do you think this was the Bermuda Triangle related, or do you buy Sam's rationalizations for what happened?
Maybe Cooper just forgot the name of the ship he was on.
That's possible.
And it wasn't the Cyclops.
It was the Cyclops, damn it. Can you say that on this show?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Yes, the Cyclops.
See, you can't swear within the first 30 seconds, otherwise you get demonetized, but after that, they don't care.
Oh, right.
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, ghost ship, definitely down there. Not made of concrete in real life, because that was only World War One that they did that. But I think so, yes.
Paranormal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Brian, were you a fan of the X-Files back in the day?
Yes, I loved the X-Files. I loved it. I've caught a couple of your episodes.
Oh,
by
did
the
you?
way. Yep.
Yeah, I'm not as fond of those videos. I don't. I think it's funny because after before I didn't know how to work with her. Now it's hard to work without her.
Yeah. Yes.
So
I'll take that as a compliment.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. All right, so that is the episode. we got anything else to say
Oh,
before?
and he leaps into Roberto.
Oh, yes,
Ooh, one
that
of
is
my
the
favorites.
Scott Bakula directed episode.
One of my favorites.
And has a couple of X-Files people in it.
Does it?
Yes,
Jerry
it does.
Harden as Deep Throat.
Throat.
And then there's a other actor whose name I don't quite remember, but he's like a guest appearance in an early first season episode. He's a guest
No, I
actor.
didn't catch that.
Yeah, he's the curly-eyed guest that gets into it with Sam.
Oh.
Yeah.
Really?
He was in an early episode. I think Conduit was the episode that he was in.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah. All right. So do we have anything else to say before concluding?
Anything else about Ghost Ship? I don't think I got nothing else.
No.
All right.
It's there.
Yeah, it's a decent episode.
What are your guys' thoughts on Roberto?
I remember liking
Off
it.
of your brain's memory.
Yeah, it's it's fun to see Jerry Harden in anything. He doesn't do much these days. I mean, the guy's almost 100 years old at this point. But yeah, it's a fun show. And I think we mentioned that you were hoping that Roberto was going to show up in Stand By Ben in the new series.
Yes, I felt that was going to be the
Yep.
Yes.
the girl's uncle, right? And they were in kind of the right region.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, it's going to be him, and it wasn't him.
It
and
wasn't
it made
him.
me really disappointed. 'Cause
They
that was,
missed some
that was
opportunities.
that was a great opportunity for a little tie-in.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
we didn't
Roberto
get it.
was one of my favorite ones. I think I just did the synopsis for that too for the
Oh, did you?
for my website. And yeah, because I love it. I love that show.
Who ended up writing
That's
that
one of my
one?
favorite. Who wrote it? Oh gosh, I don't know. I could look it up. I'm gonna look it up. Keep talking.
Oh, well,
Tell you in a
okay. Yeah, Scott Bakula directed it. We know that much. I
Yeah.
think that might have been his directorial debut.
You might be right about that. It was written by Chris Rubenthal,
Oh, yeah, okay.
so no wonder I liked it anyway. He was from X-Files
Who
too.
also wrote, yes, he wrote a couple episodes of The X-Files. I think I covered a couple of them. I recorded them. They're not dropping
I got
yet.
to meet him once, so that
Did
was
you?
cool. Yeah.
What was he like?
He was awesome. I mean, he's just a fun guy.
No, okay. Yeah, and unfortunately, he's no longer with us
Yeah.
either. He was, I remember reading on your site that camera equipment would act funny around him because he wrote the Halloween episode, the one that you can't name because it's a curse word.
Yes,
banned
of
him.
course.
That should be fun to talk about.
Yes, yeah. Oh, we do plan on talking about that one for Halloween month.
Yeah, you covered it already yourself.
I
right?
did. But
And did you respect the curse?
I did.
Okay. But we
Okay.
didn't when we did trivia.
Oh no!
Yeah, it's funny because I used your site extensively for that episode. I brought up a lot of the trivia stuff that you.
You will
put-
not find it.
Yeah.
I won't say anywhere.
No. The episode?
The word.
Oh, okay.
The word is somewhere on the site,
Oh, okay.
but you have to find it, and I won't tell you where it is.
All right. Scavenger hunt. That sounds fun.
Roberto, I mean, it's not a high episode for me,
No?
to be honest. Probably
Really?
takes place in the 80s, like the newer leaps I don't love.
80s are the best.
I was born in the 80s.
Great music.
But
I like it also because of Alan Oppenheimer. I'm a huge Masters of the Universe fan, and Alan
Yeah,
Oppenheimer is the
I-
voice of Skeletor and
I
others.
recognize him from something. I don't remember where though. He didn't. I looked at actually his page recently because I thought he might have appeared in the X-Files, but he's not there. But there's definitely something I recognize him from recently. All right.
and we'll talk more about that next week.
Yeah. All right. We'd like to hear from you. Brian can be reached at.
QuantumLeapAlsPlace.com.
All right. And Stacie can be reached
I
at.
can reach on Twitter, X, Instagram, and Threads at TVN Coupon Talk.
If you like this video and want to support your channel, there are a number of ways to do so. You can follow me on Twitter at Core Productions. You can join one of my Core Productions Facebook pages. You can buy something from the Core Productions store on Zazzle. You can buy me a coffee. You can join the Core Productions membership for 99 cents a month. And of course, you can like, share, and comment on this video, as well as subscribing to our channel. This is Dave, Stacie, and Brian from Core Productions, signing off.